What's good? Hope you guys are doing well. Life changes when you look at everything we experience from a spiritual perspective. It just changes your interpretation. I was thinking about it earlier, like just having the knowledge that there is an enemy looking to destroy us spiritually, it's already enough dealing with an enemy that's coming after you and everything you got physically, just dealing with your neighbors, navigating day to day interactions with human beings in general. To know we have an enemy spiritually who's always on the attack at any given moment, looking for ways to sabotage us, sabotage our careers, is enlightening in a lot of ways. Some people will argue, well, don't use this as an excuse to sort of supplement your poor choices or your poor decision making. And the reality is, you can be making the right choices, great decision making, and you will still have obstacles and challenges in some ways that you can't fully explain. And having that spiritual lens just gives life so much more meaning. Just came back from Florida, had a great trip. It really helped open up my eyes to the diversity in the Black community. Living out here in Orange County in Ladera Ranch, we only account for probably 1% of the population. So out of 23,000 residents, that's roughly 230 people, all of which may not even identify as African American. So it's fair to say you get really disconnected living in environments like this where there's not much African American representation. So going to Florida, going to Georgia really helped open up my eyes to just the diversity in the Black community, and also a lot of the challenges that we experience and we currently are experiencing in our community. And I was looking at how much of a difference life appears from a spiritual lens. You start looking at things from a horizontal to a vertical focus. You stop viewing life's conflicts as merely between you and other people, whether it be your bosses, your spouses, your siblings, your friends, or your rivals, and you look at more of a deeper, unseen spiritual dynamic. And you'll notice this with friends and acquaintances, people who are completely disconnected. I'm going through Exodus still because it's just so much to unpack. And mind you, God is invisible. So when he's talking to Moses and giving Moses all these instructions to go to Pharaoh and to let his people go, Pharaoh don't have any reference point of, they have so many different gods. So he's like, pick one, which which God. And just the confidence and momentum and empowerment that God put in Moses to even go up to Pharaoh, it could have cost him his life. And it just shows how spiritually and how just revitalizing it is just to even know God. You have a lot more confidence, you have a lot more self-esteem. Even though Moses had his insecurities, I'm not a good communicator, get someone else to do it. God still provided for him. So you could tell the difference between individuals who are oriented from that awareness of a spiritual reality and those who just tend to just lock into the physical world. So your focus and the battles that you face are looked at through a different lens. You notice the spirituality that's sort of driving some of the conflicts that you're having. You redefine bad luck as strategy. Random setbacks, reoccurring negative patterns, and temptations are no longer viewed as just like coincidences or bad luck. They're generally just calculated maneuvers by the enemy to destroy you and to derail you from alignment with knowing your creator, knowing your purpose, really connecting to spirit. A lot of times, situations that we just write off as, oh, this happens to everybody, or, I'm insignificant. This is just another, sort of like check mark into my bad luck. Really, it's just the enemy trying to keep you from victory and aligning with your higher calling and your higher purpose in God. Victories become like acts of grace. Personal successes, breakthroughs are no longer fuel for your ego or pride. They are viewed as divine interventions and evidence of God's protection and favor in your life, sparking gratitude rather than self reliance. There were situations where there's a big talk right now about finances and the whole sort of money economy in the Black community. A lot of people are giving really great advice on YouTube and really sound wisdom around just managing your money, budgeting, surviving in this economy. And there are days when we thought we weren't going to make it, days where we thought the money wasn't coming in, the bills were getting higher, and God still just found a way to kind of pull us through, even when you least expected it. So just having that spiritual lens, having that hope, having that sort of anchor in a higher power and a higher authority and a higher support for your situation makes a world of a difference rather than just looking at that suffering eye level. The weaponization of everyday choices, your daily habits, your thoughts, and your reactions are no longer seen as a minor or neutral occurrence. You realize every choice either aligns you with God's will or his purpose for your life, or it leaves you vulnerable to the enemy's influence. So having that spiritual lens even makes you look at choices totally different. Your decisions tend to carry a little bit more intention when you're approaching life from a spiritual perspective. Suffering is infused with purpose. Instead of viewing your pain as meaningless, cruelty, or a sign that you have been abandoned, trials are seen as a testing ground where your spiritual endurance, character, and faith are forged and strengthened. So when you're a non believer and you're suffering and you're struggling, it's really hard to understand why. You hear this a lot from people who don't believe in God. Why does God allow this to happen? Why does God allow this stress to happen? Well, if you look at the world today, a lot of our greats and people even worth mentioning, to be completely honest, because the human race is on a decline. People who are even worth summoning tend to have been, a product of suffering, of trials, of challenges, and they found a way to master these difficulties and to come out on top as a better person, as a more skilled and effective navigator of life, of human interactions. You're not going to meet a lot of people who don't encounter suffering, struggle, and challenges, and they're just, you know, people of just top moral character, right? It's like, yeah, this guy hasn't been through a damn thing. And, they just have all the answers. A lot of times, pain and suffering and challenges and obstacles and struggle gives you the wisdom to pass on to other people who are in the same situation. Hypervigilance over your mind. You become deeply aware that your mind is the primary battlefield. Thoughts of fear, self doubt, condemnation are quickly evaluated and rejected as the enemy's propaganda. I'll close with this: the war right now is not with the president, is not with white folks, is not with black folks. The war is in your mind. This is something that I'm learning. As been a therapist for over 13, 14 years. It's an everyday exercise. You have to learn to understand who the enemy is. The enemy is yourself. It's in your thoughts, it's in your thinking. Peter's like, hey, Christ is like, who do people see me as? Who do people call me? You're the most high God. You're the chosen. You're the redeemer. And then Christ is like, yeah, I got to get, sacrifice my life. Oh, no, you're not going to die. You don't have to do that. Get thee behind me, Satan. Right? That didn't come from nowhere else but that disciple's mindset. So we have to understand that victory over your thoughts, victory over your mind, that's the greatest victory you can have over any enemy you encounter, because the enemy is in your thinking. Life is just beautiful when it's viewed from a spiritual lens. I just had that placed in my spirit today and just was thankful and grateful that God even allowed me in the conversation. I pray for all of you guys who don't have that connection, who don't have that relationship, maybe you care less, that God kind of sparks your heart to kind of explore the blessings and the grace and just the solace, serenity you receive from having a relationship with the Lord. I hope you guys have a blessed day. I'm out.